Good morning, everyone. Once again, Rector Arundel here with Able Spirited Me, and I am Able. I'm joined once again with Jason. This is video 10 on the video series, the book sealed with 7 seals. On the last video, video 9, we made some very fun correlations and some big summaries to help everyone to understand that this is an inclusive idea. No one is excluded due to your current belief system. In fact, we want you to add on to your current belief system and maybe expand the possibilities of growing from where you are. If you have current issues that you're dealing with, what is your deep moral compass trying to tell you? And we just barely touched on that, but we're going to change pages. We're going to change the path to more of Jason's information because this video series is about the knowledge that he has been able to receive from above, and not everyone else has it. So we're going to let Jason start wherever he wants and take us wherever he feels is right to do right now. So thank you, Jason, for joining us once again. I'm enjoying this very much. Please blow us away.
Okay, thank you, Rector.
You're welcome.
So we probably ought to just dive headlong back into the I call it the creation narrative parallel, where the narrative of creation actually being that creation pertains to human civilization, and America's the new world, which is the cradle of our now modern civilization. You know, the parallels between that, where these 7 days of creation are the 7 seals, and that it's the master blueprint of this whole creation we're in. And man coming in day 6, that means we just finished up day 6. So, we're talking about, well, who is man and where's the new world and all of that. And I think I got us down to where we understood that the School of the Prophets organization, the priesthood body, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the religious, Mother Eve body. And then I think I went through where Jackson County, Missouri's the Garden of Eden, and there they got kind of cocky and did things that in God's view were transgressions. They got driven out. And then I think I mentioned the parallel of where they were clothed, Adam and Eve were clothed from their nakedness. And that's when the LDS temple rites were given. And that's when all these, I don't know how much you know about the LDS temple rites, but one of the first things that happens, you get washed and anointed, and then you have a garment placed upon you.
Okay.
And so that's when all of the LDS people, had the magic underwear, is what some people call it.
I knew about the sacred underwear from Air Force because certain people weren't allowing anyone into their bedrooms because it was not right for anyone else to see the sacred garments. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's true. They're very sacred, and the intent was to protect Adam and Eve because they were about to be thrusted out into the lone and dreary wilderness where, if you look at then what happened, a lot of people don't know this, but, they sieged against Nauvoo and forced and drove those people out in the dead of winter. And they were, I believe, there were plots of the government to just wholesale genocide all these Mormons, actually.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
Yeah, and what happened is the Mississippi River completely froze over. And so they couldn't box them in, and so they escaped out into obviously the weather is very extreme for the river to be completely frozen over.
Very extreme, yeah.
And so they went to a place they call Far West, and ultimately, emigrated to the Great Basin out west here. You're in Washington, right? So you've probably been down through Utah a time or two.
I have, yes.
Yeah, and so, and the frontiersmen are like, oh yeah, let them all go there. They're all going to die.
Some did.
He just knew that, And they would have if it weren't for the seagulls coming in and gorging on all those crickets that were destroying their crops. And the seagulls would gorge on them and go vomit them and come back and gorge some more. And they gorged and gorged on those crickets until they were, not a threat to their crops anymore. I mean, it was a total miracle.
Yeah.
And that's why, eagles are the state bird of Utah, because they saved these poor little Adam and Eve. They driven out into the wilderness, and this is depicted in the LDS temple, right? And that's the thing that's so fascinating is Mormons are told that this temple ceremony that depicts Adam and Eve going from first being formed and being given all this information about the creation, which is fascinating the way they present it, because they do it like an architect's blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of, they're like saying, duh, this whole creation account is the blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
And then Adam and Eve go through their trial, their tribulation, and it depicts, what they go through. But it ultimately culminates in Adam and Eve being forgiven of their transgression and actually Adam regains his kingdom in power and glory and honor. And it's only those misfit kids that didn't respect him that, they're the ones that perpetuate the fall of Adam into the creation. But Son of Man is who redeemed Adam right there in his lifetime. And so that's where a lot of people, it's kind of frustrating in some ways, because Christians are like totally Jesus centric. Mm-hmm. Everything has to be about the person Jesus, but he only lived like 33 years of his life.
Right. And half of his life was unaccounted for. We have no idea where he was or what he did.
Yeah, and even from 13 to almost 30, we don't even know, the 18 lost years of Christ, which is fascinating, because when I was in Korea, I got a book about how they believe this Saint Esau traveled all throughout Asia, and
I also read all about that. Yeah.
And then what was wrong, and then they'd drive him out, and he'd go do it again somewhere else.
Yeah, they had a theory that Jesus actually was a Buddhist monk. It's been shown that that's not actually correct, but it's an interesting theory anyway.
It is, yeah. And it's someone's interpretation of history that may align with this Jesus figure would have went on tour. Mm-hmm. I would think if he's as important as he is, he probably did go and visit a lot of other cultures and master. I would hope.
I would hope. New perspectives is the important thing, right?
Yeah. And so anyway, let's see. So this narrative, Adam and Eve end up in the wilderness, and it shows that while they're in the wilderness, they're subject, because they sinned, and got kicked out. And now the devil, the adversary, has power over them. He's doing all this stuff, telling them all this stuff, and even the LDS are told, some angels come down to minister and check in and see how Adam and Eve are doing, and they encounter this adversary figure, and they're like, "Hey, what's going on?" I'm just, doing everything that, it happens every time there's a cycle. What are you acting surprised for?
This is old school. I have a quick question for you, just for the sake of transparency. You're talking about the serpent, and I was just wondering, in your mindset, do you believe in a devil or a reptilian race or any of this conspiracy stuff that we're hearing about? Adrenochrome and all the stuff that's going out. Have you heard about this?
Well, as far as the embodiment of an adversarial figure, it also is like a supersoul, a superconsciousness that it draws certain people under its power, and it's not concerned about the sovereignty of whoever it draws in. It just uses brute force. It has in its psyche, it has absolute full dominion. Whatever it can just get, it gets. Mm-hmm. It's not concerned about this consenting, knowledgeable, adult-like spiritual union relationship. It's just kind of this it wants what it wants, and it's arrogant, and it thinks if it could just get control of everything, then it would fix everyone's problems. But it's not trying to do it through this cooperative, enlightening process.
If I may interject for a second, yeah, you're describing Satanism to a point. People usually think Satanists worship Satan. That's not the case at all. Satanists believe that they're the most important thing that there is, and they're going to take what they want, and they'll do what they want, and they're going to push their way to what they want, no matter what, because they are embodying this other super soul you're talking about. They are embodying this super consciousness of the dark side, and it's
yeah,
that's
it's this mode of operation that has just taken sovereignty and said, we don't need that.
yeah.
And it's unfortunate because and that's where Lucifer's kind of caught in the middle. The Lucifer isn't the dragon or the serpent. He's kind of the Cain figure. When we want to talk about the super consciousness of Abel and Cain, Cain embodies that stage where he's got the best of intentions, but he's allured by the appearance of greater power,
right,
by just using force. And so he kind of gets torn in half. He's got the good intentions, but he's endeavoring to accomplish them through the mechanisms of the serpent, which is force and manipulation, and making allowance for dishonesty. Somehow believing that there's power in a lie. Right. And there is on the front side, but once the lie's figured out, it's a net loss.
Right.
And so when we look at Adam and Eve, they got beguiled and they biffed and they fell, and now they've got these sons, Cain and Abel, and Abel represents more that humble. I gave a little bit on that earlier segment. He was yielding to the collective, cumulative intelligence and wisdom of our race, which is embodied in the Father. It's a collective,
right,
that represents them. And then you've got, the other side that thinks it has a better way figured out, but he's really just getting deceived by the appearance of greater power by which the dragon serpent operates, which is just trickery, deception, force, manipulation, etc., etc.
Take what you want, give nothing back.
God's plan, religion gets hijacked and perverted into something that ultimately serves the adversary's purpose. Religion in its purity ultimately is intended to point towards that full-on acknowledgement and respect for the oneness of each member of humanity. That's what our soul is. Are we capable of being an independent, sovereign universe? It's like that's, if we want to look at ourselves as a sovereign, well, now that means we have our body is now at the status of a universe, the one. We're a one. And we want to progress the souls of human beings to become whole and complete and sovereign. That's ultimately what the pursuit of any pure, healthy spiritual tradition is all about.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, they all parallel the same purpose. Yeah.
And we can go into who they are, I guess, in a future segment, but.
We can cut this one short now if you want. We're at 14 minutes. Is there anything? A great summary.
Well,
beautiful.
I could add a little more.
Yeah, why don't you add a little more before we cut this one off?
Okay, so Joseph Smith was praying, and he wanted to know. He's asking, when is the Son of Man coming? Because the coming of the Son of Man is an end times concept. Mm-hmm. I think people just think it's the return of the person Jesus. I don't think they understand that the Son of Man is this man-child born of the woman, and the woman is the church, the Eve. See, I don't know that they understand the end times is a overlapping of the new beginning. That the Son of Man they think, yeah, it's the return of Jesus, but it's also the re-embodiment of the Word made flesh in the new beginning, as these cycles repeat.
Right.
But that's what we have is this this conflict between these brothers, and Joseph wanted to know, because he knew he was man, and he wanted to know when was Son of Man coming, and he was told that before he was 85 years old, he would see the face of the Son of Man, and that put it clear up to 1890. And of course, he was murdered in 1844, so he didn't live to be that old, but the prophecy never said that he actually had to live. And then his father was the patriarch, and in LDS tradition, we receive patriarchal blessings, which kind of gives us a lot of our own personal information about what our eternal inheritance is and what is foreordained for us and various things of that nature. And there were multiple individuals who were also given in their blessing a promise that if they lived to a certain age, they would see the Son of Man. And they all corresponded to the same rough, period of time. And, there's the passage that says you cannot know the day or the hour.
Right.
But it didn't say you know the year. And so it's funny that all of these ways that God would communicate about the time of the coming of the Son of Man, he always put it in this, well, if you're this old, or, it's always this year window.
Yeah.
And he would never get any closer than that.
I'd like to point out an interesting parallel once again. Gurus, when they become enlightened, so to speak, they often see their guru, who's long deceased, face to face again. So it's another way of narrating the exact same concept. You see the Son of Man when you are ready to receive the Son of Man.
Yeah. Well, yes, I see, and that's the thing is we embody these, the way the Word is made flesh. We have to read the words that are imbued with this enlightenment, and then we draw that enlightenment into us, and then that's what allows our spirit, our higher self, and the Son of Man, because we have a man level indwelling. We have a Son of Man level indwelling, and then we have what I call the Man of Holiness, which is the highest.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, we can get into that later, but
yeah, that's exciting. I think that's a good concept to stop on, because now I want to know about that one, obviously. Okay, so yes, another wonderful discussion. Thank you for joining me this morning, and we will start again tomorrow on something else. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Bye-bye.